right, I think we're officially live.
Yay. Awesome. Hi, Cassandra. Let me record this before there we go. Hi, Cassandra. Hi, everyone who's live with us. Happy to be here. And if you are watching, as always, please say hi. Just post in the comment, hello, where you're from, where you're watching from. If you're watching the replay, just hashtag replay so I know that you're here. Today's a really, really cool topic. I actually have been trying to learn myself about human design, and I met Cassandra through the world of Facebook and talked to her about it a little bit. And I was like, oh my God, I have to share with all of you about human design and how it can actually help us in our relationships. So I'm super excited to talk to Cassandra today. Before we start, I want to see who's here. I want to say hi, and see who's watching with us and say hello. And also, before we get started, I want to do a little bit of a plug for the upcoming challenge that's coming up, the Fight Less, Love More Challenge. It's going to be happening on December 14th inside this group. It's a 5-day free challenge, and we are going to be working through all of your communication not strategies. We're going to be shifting the context of your communication, and then we will get to strategies as well. But it's an amazing event. The last time the women that participated completely shifted their communication in their marriages. So if you are seeing all the posts about it, make sure that you register. Make sure that you join me because it's going to be incredible. I'm super pumped and excited to be with you. And also, if you guys invite your friends, today I posted that if you invite other people, I actually have an awesome gift for you, which is a workbook on communication strategies that actually my husband and I use in our marriage and that actually work. And they're like practices. And if you are looking for something, you can print it out and keep it with you because sometimes we forget, right, to use certain strategies that we learned. So it's a great little printable workbook that you can keep with you at all times and just remember on all the things we talk about. So anyway, I'm seeing people logging on. Hi, Chrissy. So good to see you. Okay, so I want to introduce Cassandra. Hi, Cassandra.
Hi.
Thanks for being here. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and who you are, and then I want to hear what human design is, and yeah, just give us a background of what it is.
Yeah. So thank you for having me. I'm so excited, and the challenge you're coming up. This is like so aligned with that too. Communication, so important. So I identify as a behavior specialist. I'm a human design mentor, and really I'm a mental wellness advocate for women and moms. And human design has come into my life that I've used that with my background working with families to help create more flow in our relationships. So that we can just be more authentically ourselves and like have those more authentic, I guess, like representation in our home. Mm-hmm. So that's been something I've been working with families on. And human design itself, like a fun way, an easier way of describing it's kind of, we know Myers-Briggs, we know Enneagram, these personality systems. And human design is similar to that, but instead it's merely based on when you were born. So your birth date, your birth time, your birthplace. And based on that, it's all about what energy that you came into this world with, like who the blueprint of who you are. Mm-hmm. Little synopsis.
Oh, is that similar to astrology?
Yeah, so it's this is a funny way of describing it. I work a lot with kids. I kind of describe it as like the Megamorphin Power Ranger. So
Mhm.
it is a synthesis of a bunch of different ancient wisdoms. So astrology is in there, the chakras, the Kabbalah tree of life, the I Ching. If any of your audience knows about gene keys, like that is related. So it's basically an expansion of astrology.
Oh, that's so awesome. I've been actually talking to an astrologer myself, like regularly. And, for any of you that don't believe into, in astrology and all of, you know, the conversations about energy and all of that, like I used to not also be a believer. And then, you know, actually years ago, I started seeing an astrologer and doing a lot of my own personal healing and a lot of my own like energy work. And it's like mind blowing how when you start to study it and start to actually study your charts, how on point it is and how much we can use it as a tool for us to really get to know ourselves and to really like, once we know ourselves better, then we can show up differently in our relationships, and then we can understand why we react in certain ways and so on. So that's awesome that, that this is aligned with that. So how do you use it with clients, or how do you apply human design to actually improve, communication and intimacy and just your relationship?
Yeah. So within the chart, what I love is when you start to not only understand your energy imprint, but like how you flow, like how you best make decisions, how you experience energetic overwhelm. And with those things too, you figure out how you best communicate. Because when your energy is in flow, when you're called out in the right way, all of a sudden you light up and things become easier. So when you start looking at the charts, you start understanding what someone's feeling, why they move through the world the way they do, how they make decisions. And it takes out the judgmental piece, right? So
Mhm.
often we sit back and we get upset with someone because they didn't do something how we think it should have been done, how we would have done it. I mean, especially in our relationships, well, you should just know this, or, like, of why wouldn't you do it this way? And so human design, it allows us to come and really take an unbiased look at each family member to
Mhm.
understand like why they were doing it that way, what was motivating them, because we're like in our family we love each other, right? We always have this undercurrent that we love and we want to connect. We just get lost as we're each trying to express ourselves in a world that really tries to homogenize us, tries to say that we all should be the same, we all should make decisions the same and do this the same. So we start to be able to have more compassion for each other and
Yeah.
support the way each partner works or each family member works, instead of like being in the tension of trying to make someone see us.
Yeah, for sure. And understand. That's what I'm hearing also, is like just understanding, And I think there's so many layers, right, to like relationships. So as women, just being, we are unique just being women, right? And men are very different than us. And a lot of times, I think as women, we think that they should be more like us and they should be reacting like us. So I feel like that's just one layer, understanding the differences between men and women, which, I talk a lot about. But then it's like a whole nother layer of your actual human design, that if you understand that, like you can understand how you can actually be effective in approaching your partner. I mean, wow. I'm super blown away by, by just all of the amazing tools that are available. And I'm super excited to like look at my chart and my husband's chart and see um what I can understand more about him. We've been at work for like 15 years, and this really understanding each other and our spirit and like we call it the machine, but our I would say the ego, because right, like we all have the human spirit and the human ego. So what I'm hearing, and correct me if I'm wrong, is like the human design gives you more of an understanding of our spirit, of our kind of like how we're made. Is that right? Not what we learned, right? Like the ego is what we learned, but this is like how we are made in this world, you know, by a higher power, and how we were brought into this world, kind of. Is that?
Yeah, we get to see like where our patterns and tendencies come from.
Mhm.
Either because it's an energy that we came here with or something that's been conditioned into us. If I call it like the busy host trait, people come over and you're like, oh, do you need water? Do you need a blanket? Do you need this? Do you need that? Or at work, you want to just get projects done because it feels like a lot of pressure.
Mhm.
That's something we can find in the chart.
Mm.
Say, like, you feel this way because you have this aspect, and that's okay. This is the high expression. This is how that's meant to be used.
Mhm.
So really, not only do we start to understand each other and our family, but we become teammates.
Mhm. That's awesome.
One of my favorite things is the chart. More than astrology, more than any system on its own, human design shows us your authentic way of making decisions.
Mhm.
And that's where I think a big disconnect can come up in relationships is if one partner has this gut yes no, they know in the moment, and their other partner needs to sleep on it or needs to talk it out, or there's even an authority that needs to wait a whole month to really think through the process, and that can create a lot of like tension and dissonance.
Yeah.
But if you know that about each other, you get to honor. You get those little decisions can be made by the gut partner that can just, yep, yes, no, and you get to honor the partner who they're going to really take in the full decision because they take their time and that's how they're meant to. So you get to become this like this true partnership of honoring the strengths of your relationship.
Oh, that's so that's beautiful, and that's what a relationship is, or at least that's what I stand for. That relationships are is that we get to honor each other and how we're, you know, designed, and really appreciate it and learn how to become an observer, and you know, really observe how we can grow together while we honor ourselves and our partner. So that's, yeah, that's awesome. So how do you get your, by the way, anybody watching, do you guys have any questions? I'm seeing some questions. What is the name of the astrology that we go through? So Angela, hi Angela, so good to see you. I actually talked to this woman. She's actually in Russia. I'm Russian, so I speak Russian. So we talk. So I don't have any like specific astrology. You know, she just looks up my charts and she does a reading for me. I don't know. Do you have any recommendations?
For astrology, honestly, I love human design because you get the astrology component and then some.
Yeah.
That I saw a lot in astrology, a lot of disempowerment of people being like, well, I'm just a sensitive Pisces,
Mm.
and like not really having the component of how is that meant to be leveraged? Like
Mm.
this, everything we have within us, like has a high expression, has a reason where it like really does a lot of good in the world. And I like shifted away from only astrology because I just wasn't finding resources for that.
Yeah, yeah, that's why I'm so, yeah, interested in human design, because I feel like it's a whole nother level of understanding. So how does somebody go about looking up their chart and understanding more on, you know, on their, about their charts?
So the site that I recommend is mybodygraph.com, and we can put that in the comments later, and people will see it when we pull up your chart. The official human design chart is Jovian Archive.
Mhm.
You may spell it Jovian Archive. I think that should be right. I prefer my body graph because it just is gentler on my eyes. I like the information and I like that it saves it so you can run multiple charts.
Mhm.
And what was the other question? Where can they run it and where can they learn more? There is a lot out there.
Okay.
My favorite book, there's the official human design book, which is like the science of differentiation. It's about $50. But my favorite is Understanding Human Design by Karen Curry.
And maybe what we can do is at the end, we can connect the women with you and you can message them and give them more information, and we can also post it in the comments.
Yeah, or of course having your chart read.
Yeah.
But on
Yeah.
that note.
So what I'm gonna do with all of you, so I actually pulled up my charts, and I'm seeing Angela's asking if there's a link so my fiance can watch this when he gets home. That's awesome that you want him to watch it. Yeah, Angela, so I'm recording this and I will post it on Instagram, and there's gonna be a replay so he can go into the group with you. If he, I mean, he's not in the group because it's only for women, but he can watch the replay with you, okay? So what I actually did is I went on Bodygraph because I'm super curious, and I was gonna do all the charts before, but Cassandra was like, let's just do it on the Zoom video, on the live. So I'm going to share my screen and I'm gonna show you guys what it actually looks like to do your graph. And yeah, let's do that. Hold on.
You know what I'll say too that I
And
like about human design is, you know, in partnerships, especially as women, right, we're so emotionally driven. We like just want to know more about our partner, and the guys don't always want to open up. And human design has become this awesome way to understand your partner when he's like not fully tapped in.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You know,
that's so great. I'm super excited about learning. I'm like, this is like my next thing that I'm taking on in my learnings, is really like using this to advantage in my relationship. And okay, so let's go look at the graphs. Okay, so this is what the website looks like. And what I did, just to walk you through, I went into the body graph. You enter your name, your birth date, and time you were born. So you need to know that information, and then the city you were born. And then it gives you this chart, which I'm like, what the heck does all this mean? So Cassandra's gonna look at it and she's going to talk about that. And then also I did my partner's chart. So we're going to look at his as well, and then you'll let us know what, you know, happens.
and can we just, so that people can see that note, will you hit to make a new chart just to show people that they need to pay attention to the day and month?
Oh, okay. So yeah, when you guys go and make a new chart,
notice if it says day, month, year, or if it says month, day, year. Yes. Like sometimes it fluctuates weirdly. So just pay attention to that because it makes a big difference in your chart.
Yes. Okay.
So
okay.
Amazing things. So I mentioned to you before, like when it comes to human design, there's a lot here. There's a lot more than, you know, you could dive into at any point. It's kind of like, you know, like I said, having every body system scanned possible, and then your you know, wanting to know information from your doctor. So it's always really tapping into like, okay, well, where do you feel resistance in your life? Where do you feel a little out of balance? And kind of like an alignment check, the way you go get your car checked, right? We check ourselves. So a real quick synopsis, what we're looking at, the shapes, these geometric shapes that are on here are basically different chakras. They're different energy center. Each one carries a different type of energy. You know, the energy for thinking, the energy for doing, the energy for being or wanting. And so when something's colored in, that is energy you consistently have. That the planets have imprinted you, and you have that flow consistently going in you. Okay. And then these white centers, these white shapes, that is where you're really experiencing the world. That's where you can get energetic overwhelm from your environment, and it's also where you connect with other people. Okay. So the first thing that I had said before, and I'll mention real quick, is like you have this amazing gut intuition. This which is this red square down here.
Okay.
Um, and as a note, because I did want to mention with intimacy too, like while we're here staring at a chart, this red square, when people have it white, they can actually, it's not that they have a lower sex drive, but it's like they have less access.
Oh, wow.
And so that's always something nice to know in partnership too, if you're having issues with physical intimacy, to
Mhm.
look at that and see if like a partner might just, their engine needs to be a little more revved, you know, where they just don't have that same consistent need and drive.
Oh, interesting. Okay. What is the, I know also when I've done my human design chart before, it's there's like generator and manifestor generator. Does it say that here?
So I was just going to go into, yeah. So we have in human design, the two most important things are your strategy and authority, like how
Okay.
you take action and how you know that that's the correct decision for you. And
Mhm.
if you look here, why I like this site is it's kind of nice and concisely over here on the right. And I think also if you were to click this button that says foundation, it'll take you to the next step and tell you more even.
Mm.
So there's 5 different energy types. It's kind of like having different styles of cars.
Okay.
Based on how your energy connects, you move through the world a different way and you're given a different energy type label. So
Mhm.
you're a manifesting generator,
Mhm.
which is super cool. You have this sacral energy. So you wake up every day with this full tank of gas to burn.
Mm.
You are complete, like imprinted with the desire to do what lights you up, to feel satisfied.
Yeah, for sure.
And you have a motor connected to your throat, which is what makes you a manifesting generator. And it makes you designed for shortcuts.
Mm.
It makes you designed for like when you respond to something, that's your strategy. And
Mhm.
it's because you have this sacral. If you have a full tank of gas to use, you need to make sure that you're using it towards what you want. Otherwise, it's really frustrating, right? To use your energy on stuff that doesn't light you up.
For sure. That
And
happened today.
so manifesting
Like,
generators sometimes
icons, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so, yeah, totally.
you just want to like jet off and do things, but you always have to listen to this gut,
Yeah.
this yes, no, this lights me up, and then you are all over the place. You might make mistakes, you know, and
Mhm.
have to do something a second time because your shortcut didn't work. Though looking at your profile, you don't really make that much. Um, but what's interesting looking at your chart is over here on the right, that I forget you can't see my mouse. Over on the right, that white triangle is the emotional solar plexus.
Mhm.
This is that I had wanted to check if your husband had this. You being open is nice because you don't need to sleep on anything. You have a gut yes, no. But where you're taking this in is you can take in how other people feel.
Mhm.
You can avoid confrontation. You can avoid like basically the truth of the matter. You don't want
Mhm.
to get into a conversation with someone because you're worried it's going to like be really emotionally big.
Yeah.
And you're like, let's just not.
Oh yeah, I really don't. Yeah, definitely. Do not enjoy confrontation.
Let's just stay over here.
Uh-huh. This is crazy how on like point it is.
What I think is actually, let's touch on what I think is really neat about your chart and your husband is defined. So when we switch over, it'll be nice to see this like diamond in the middle is your identity center, and
Mhm.
yours is wide open.
Mm.
So you actually don't have a foundation of who you are.
Mhm.
There's still who you are. Obviously, you have your energy, there's you, but you're very much a chameleon.
Mm.
You can, you know, when you were younger, you know, what this can look like is, you know, in high school dating, you're dating, you know, some punk rock guy. And so you're dressed all grunge and like you fully embody that identity. That's who you are. But then you're dating an artist and you got a beret and you're in, you know, overalls with paint. People are like, who is she? She doesn't even know. But you are all of those things. You are designed to blend in and become wise about who we are and how that feels to be who we are.
That's beautiful. Yeah, it actually is pretty true.
It's a
That's
really nice it's a really nice characteristic to have too for what you do
mhm.
because you can really feel into your clients how they're feeling, how they're valuing themselves, like who they are,
Mhm.
and help them like transform that because you can actually even feel both partners.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
You're incredibly intuitive.
Mm, yes, definitely.
Like you get a lot of like, right timing, that gut yes. Like if you ever like you get a feeling and you don't listen to it, you're probably always like, I
Yeah.
knew we should have done this.
Oh yeah.
I felt it. I
Yeah.
ignored it.
Yeah. Yeah. I always say, I'm like, my intuition is my superpower for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have like a lot of splenic activation. It's that center on the left with like all the things lit up.
That is the same.
Um, a couple other, I don't want to go too much into it. I mean, there's like your profile of how you move through the world. Like I can stay looking at centers or we can move to profile, which
Mhm.
actually is a nice one to know. Your profile is how you move through the world. And that's kind of important because that is a lot of the way in which we do things, the way in which we like process
Oh, yeah.
to make those decisions, to know what we're doing. And for you, you need time alone,
Oh yeah.
maybe with your partner, your hermit time.
Mhm.
But then also your things come to you through your network, through your friends, through people. If you need a new fridge, you're gonna like mention it to someone and they're gonna know someone who has someone or knows
Oh
a
my
good
God, that's so true.
like,
That
and,
is so true. I'm like blown away right now. That's crazy.
and that's how
Like
it
if
comes to
somebody
you. And
was here.
actually, go ahead.
No, I'm just like, whoa, if my husband was here, he'd be like, this is so true.
And those two things actually combine this open identity because you're taking in the environment, you're taking in the identity of what's around you. It actually means that like you need to be in the right place for
Mhm.
things to open up. So
Okay.
like your home needs to feel like good and aligned because if your home is really cluttery,
Yeah.
like it stresses you, it takes on your personality
Yeah, for sure.
basically.
Yeah, for sure.
Or like if your life is like falling into shambles and chaos, it's a time to step back and be like, do I need to move neighborhoods?
Mhm.
Like, do I need to change my job place, my work environment, those kinds of things, because that's so important. Or your husband doesn't have that.
Let's look at my husband's chart
Yeah.
because I want to. I mean, I'm so interested in this, but I don't know if everybody else on that's watching is as interested in knowing all about me. But I want to really like bridge how it can be so helpful in a relationship. So I'm so curious, just to see like what. Let's go move into his chart and how it works together. His chart is so different than mine.
And I was gonna say, just even seeing it like that, all of a sudden there's this moment that I hope you feel, it's like, oh, yeah, no, there it is. Look, we're different. Look,
So different.
look
Oh
how
my.
look how different we are. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is why we do things differently. This is why we're not seeing eye to eye on this. This is why.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm. Oh, uh-huh. Okay. So
So your
for,
head. Mhm.
I just want to make sure that for all of you that are watching, if you have any questions at all, please post them. Even if you're watching the replay, um, post your questions. We'll get back to you, and I'll make sure that all of your questions are answered about human design. So yeah.
I love this. And I love it because we can see where like you make great partners, but also where like low expressions or in the wrong mood, I guess to say, right? Where like that dissonance can come up.
Mm-hmm.
So with him, he still has that same gut instinct, which is nice. You
Yeah.
both are walking around like, yep, you have quick decisions. There's no emotions, no emotional waves in your house. So for partners that would have this defined, it can be another thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's talk about his. If you notice, the first thing is that his head is defined where yours was opened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So your open mind can become really overwhelmed by all of the ideas going around.
Yeah.
Like coffee shops are probably not your jam for working. Like
Mm-hmm.
maybe for some inspiration, but like you're not going to find peace. He can go sit there and he's fine. You can lock your husband in a dark room and he will come up with things to do.
That's
His
interesting.
mind is always running and running and running. Now, the thing is, this green triangle is our mind center. And when that's defined, like people have the unique ability to be certain.
Mm.
And so this is where in couples, I mean, or all family members, depending on, where you can get into an argument and one person is certain,
Mm,
like literally feel fixed and certain, where the other, you're open, you can fall into trying to be certain.
mhm. Yeah.
But it's like it's not actually there. It's just you like trying to pretend like you have it, or like you amplifying his.
Mhm.
And so that's a space where if you ever find that like certainty is coming into things, that like this, no, I know definitely this is the way we took that route.
Mhm.
Like it's actually a great time to step back. He probably does remember it, like possibly better than you do,
Yeah, for sure.
and stepping back and be like, you know what? Okay, does this matter?
Yeah.
Am I wondering about things that don't matter? Because for him, he'll just wonder. For
Mhm.
you, you'll mentally exhaust yourself in all of that wondering.
Mm, that's interesting. Yeah.
Like it's a fun sport for him. He has the energy for it. It's right there.
Mhm.
And then the other thing with him, he's got this like, especially men are always, not always, very confident in who they are. But
Yeah.
he has this like fixed certainty. He has this gut instinct, and he has this like he knows who he is.
Oh yeah. Totally.
He is seated in that.
Yeah.
I could see him possibly being stubborn.
I mean, it definitely, I think all the work that he's done, throughout the years has helped that. Yeah. But yeah, he's
Yeah, we
super.
call stubborn being like a low expression, like high expression, we'll call it like seated in who he is.
Oh my God. 1,000,000%.
Yeah. What's nice, you guys actually have the same profile.
Mm.
And that's where
Yeah,
like it's
you're
like you go for two words.
manifesting.
You both like want to spend time at home alone, and then you both like want to rely on your network.
Yeah, for sure.
That's where like that's a beautiful piece in your relationship, because that is where you guys really like align and understand each other's process.
Mm.
Like for you two, you actually do really understand that, like, okay, let's follow our gut.
Yeah. So I have a quick question. So for the women that are watching, if they go, and do this body graph, um, and is it the same, like, what are they called? The
The number.
triangles and all of the shapes. Is it the same? Like if they get the same kind of shapes that they can get that, or is there more explanation on how they can read their chart?
Yeah. So the chart itself here will always look the same. Like
Okay.
that's the body graph blueprint. It's always going to have the shapes in the same place, the numbers in the same place. It's just a matter of what is going to be colored or white. And that
Okay.
will be the difference. Is this activated in you or not?
Hmm.
The other thing I love about this, I've been talking about the open centers. If you on here, what's nice is if you roll your mouse over one of those white centers, it's going to give you a not self question. Here
Oh.
at the bottom, am I trying to attract attention?
Hmm.
When we have those open centers, like I was just saying with the mind, we can fall into those tendencies of like trying to prove we have this energy.
Okay.
And it's literally the not self, it's not you. And
Mhm.
so if you roll over, so the throat, like this being open, he can feel not heard.
Okay.
And so the open center, it can talk and talk and talk because it feels like no one hears it.
Hmm. This is the white center, right?
That's for this white center. So if you roll over a different white center,
Okay.
so each one is going to tell you what energy that is. So this is willpower, egoism, the material world, self-worth. This one specifically, it's the heart. It's like that. It's very tribal. It's the heart to like rally people to do things. It's the
Mhm.
energy that, when we're migrating and we need shelter because it's going to rain, it's the energy that's like, we got this. Let's go. You can do it. Like very Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
Everyone is capable. So when you don't have that, that's where you can look here at this not self question of, do I think I have something to prove?
Mm.
Because you feel that like someone else has that. And so you're like, crap, like, do I need to be proving I have that?
Mhm.
You have this like theory that like we all have this energy, you just need to tap into it.
Okay.
And you do and you don't.
Mhm.
But so going through and understanding these different not self questions is a great way of kind of starting to sift through what's bothering you in a situation, or like how to take that next step, right? If you're in a fight with your partner, to go sit back and like, do I think I have something to prove?
Mhm.
Like, am I trying to prove to him that like I'm intelligent enough? Like, do I need to be proving this? Like,
Mhm.
wait, okay, hang on, let me take a step back.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to do this, and like I don't need to. I don't have the energy to be doing that.
So yeah, you start understanding. So not self-theme or not self-question is a question that you ask yourself or
It's like it's an alignment question. It's somewhere that it's not always going to be a yes. You might sit back and be like, "Do I think I have something to prove?" Be like, "No, I'm just." And so you'd go to a different not self question, like, "Am I avoiding confrontation and truth?" Like,
okay, I
I
understand.
I don't want to upset this person. And so you can kind of see of like, am I being true to who I am,
Mhm. That's
or
so
am
that's
I like avoiding my environment?
mhm. Oh my God, that's incredible. I mean, we can literally, I feel like, sit here for hours and hours and hours talking about this. I don't want to bore the women that are watching, with my charts. I want them to go and like do their own charts, and really start understanding and their husband's chart. And I mean, you can do this with everybody. You can start understanding your kids. You can, really run these charts and really like have this amazing wisdom and really honor the people that you're with and honor yourself. And then if you guys can come together and do it together, I feel like as partners, that creates a whole nother level of a family and relationship dynamic. So
Yeah.
this
And
is
people will totally, I mean, one, share characteristics from your chart
Mhm.
to understand. The last piece I want to actually leave with you on this communication real quick, because it will apply to so many people, because that sacral center.
Mhm.
What's nice is when it comes to communication, the other thing, and I already hear you making sacral noises,
Mhm.
is knowing with partners how to ask questions back and forth. So for you, if you went to your husband or like, do you want to go for a walk? You actually almost internally need to be asked back.
Mhm.
If he's like, uh-huh, and he needs to be like, do you want to go for a walk? But what this can look like for deciding dinner is, instead of being like, what do you want for dinner? Which can be a really stressful question, right? And we have to answer it every day. Is sitting and honestly being like, do you want tacos? Do you want spaghetti? Do you want to go out? Do you want pizza? Like, okay, there it is.
Oh wow. So are you saying that I should ask
Yeah,
my
both
husband,
of you.
just do you want this? Do you want this? Do you want that?
Singular yes, no questions.
Oh,
Like, not either or, singular yes, no, because it answers yes, no. And if nothing comes up, you either need to ask differently or later, right? He might be in the middle of something. And you're like, do you want to go for a walk? And he's like, nothing comes up.
yeah.
Where it's like, okay, do you want me to come back and ask you later? Like, or like, do you want to go for a walk in 30 minutes?
Yeah.
He
That's
can.
really great. Yeah, when I ask him what do you want for dinner, it's always like whatever you want. And it like I'm like, no, don't, that's the worst answer you can give me. You have to tell me, but now I know. Now I'll just ask him yes or no questions.
Yeah, and he can do that with you back and forth. Really break it down. Do you want to go out? Do you want to get takeout? Do you want, what, like, yes, no. The whole thing, you'll get there. It'll feel so good getting there too. It'll be no energy. So you
Okay.
don't have to use your mind.
I love it. I love that. Oh my God. Thank you so much, Cassandra. I'm not, let me see if there's any other questions coming in. I don't see any other questions, but we'll make sure to post the links. I posted the body graph. How can women get in touch with you? Tell us like how you can also help couples or families to use this better and understand human design better. And how can they find you?
Absolutely. So contacting me through Facebook is the best way. Up until this point, I've been really working on referrals. So I'm starting to put more content out there and really empower people to do it themselves. If people want to really dive into this, because it is a lot at once, and when you want to solve problems, you want to do it before you go get a degree in it.
Yeah.
So I work with families to do family chart readings to really understand the cohesion of how does everybody make decisions, how do they flow, how do they need to go to bed, and lay that out. And I actually just started a mentorship program too for just unlimited voice and messaging. So that way, as people are trying to figure out for themselves, because it really is something that you can be empowered to use on your own, that they have someone to help guide them through what should I be looking at. Hey, I think this means this. Is that it? And having someone to just get that like feedback and guidance as they self-study.
Mm, that's awesome.
Really cool.
We'll just have them DM you if they want, if they have any more questions about running their own body graph and you know about the chart. I think I will. As I study this, I'm gonna go back and like listen to everything, share it with my husband. But yeah, this is amazing. Thank you so much for sharing and like your wisdom about this. I mean, it's incredible. I know that this takes time to study. It's not like an overnight thing that you can just look at and you know and get. So thank you for contributing today and sharing your wisdom and your knowledge with all of us. For me, this was amazing, and I hope for all of you that are watching, this was also insightful and you can use it as another tool. There's so many tools, right, that we can use in our relationships and in our lives to really like live our best life and bring this holistic approach to relationships, because there's so many, you know, there's just so much, so many layers that we all have. So yeah, human design is just another opportunity for that.
There's no better time to connect than now.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Well,
Thank you
thank
so
you so
much.
much for having me and for
Yeah.
sharing your charts and, being open and willing.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Hold on, I'm gonna stop